But staying on the news of the Gurdaspur terror attack, now just days after India warned of a befitting reply to them in Punjab, the government sources have told NDTV that Delhi doesn't believe that the Pakistan government was aware of the plot that ended with 7 people killed in a small town just 18 kilometers from the border. The government walking a fine line between taking a tough stand on terror and keeping a window open for diplomacy with the NSA talks unlikely to be derailed. My colleague Rahul Srivastav now joins me for more on this. Rahul, some would argue the government is speaking in several different voices on the issue of terror.
Maya, after the Gurdaspur attack, it was very clear that the government had to create a fine balancing act. A fine balancing act because there is a domestic constituency that the government has to address. The political opponents were attacking the government on the issue that there has been a terror attack, while the Modi government and the BJP in the run-up to the elections had promised a terror-free country. And that is why the government had to indulge in a bit of a saber rattling. And muh tod jawab denge, befitting reply will be given. All those things were talked about are largely to address the domestic constituency. And I think even within the BJP and the RSS, there is a sizable section which wanted that kind of response. But when it comes to India's relationship with Pakistan, the diplomatic efforts are concerned, the government definitely needed a certain amount of caution. If you look at the Home Minister's statement in the two houses, one thing is very clear, that the usual templates which used to be part and parcel of statements by Home Ministers after any terror attack, they were missing. If you look at it, he has not mentioned Pak-sponsored terror, Pakistani terrorism, state-sponsored terror. That is one sign in which the Home Minister was indicating, presenting all the facts about the terror attack. There is a fact that the government of India today knows that 17 days before the terror attack, there was a meeting on Pakistani soil, perhaps in which the attack was planned and the conspiracy was hatched.
Right.
The government has also found out that the US marking elements which have been found on the terrorists were brought in from Afghanistan. But somewhere by keeping it open-ended, the government is also indicating that the Pakistani government was not involved. Perhaps that is to save the spirit of the UFA joint statement,
right,
in which the government is looking forward to building a roadmap for a future talks with Pakistan. And that is why, perhaps in an attempt not to derail that process, we can see that an open-ended statement by the Home Minister and a certain amount of caution.
Right. Rahul, thanks very much for joining us. Well, as we said, several different strains on the issue of tackling terror. Meanwhile, in another controversial statement from a leader, Tathagat Roy, the governor of Tripura, has said that all those who attended Yaqub Memon's funeral in Mumbai yesterday should be watched because they could be potential terrorists. Now, he's joining us on the phone line from Tripura. Mr. Roy, do you think that was an appropriate statement and not a divisive one? I mean, they could have been members of his family. They could have been anybody who was attending his funeral.
You didn't read my tweet. I am sorry, but you didn't read my tweet. It clearly said, except his family, except his relatives and his close friends. The rest are suspect. The rest should be watched by, the intelligence should keep a tab on the rest because they could be potential terrorists. Family is clearly excluded.
But why are you saying they could be potential terrorists? They could have just been people who known to the family who were attending the funeral. They could have been people who had been watching it on the news who were attending the funeral. It could have been anything. Why are you tainting an entire population?
Who's blaming an entire population? Don't put words in my mouth. I am blaming the people who had been there, who had been to see the corpse of a person who had been hanged by the order of the Supreme Court for having caused the death of 257 people. So, excluding the family and friends, why were the rest of the people there? Why? Why? This begs the question, why? Why don't you answer that?
Mr. Roy, there are views and so, you know, people like Derek O'Brien have also responded to you on Twitter. They've said that, you know, this kind of commentary doesn't really behoove a governor. Why, the fact that you're basically...
That is a different question. First, whether the comment is correct or not is one question.
But why would you make it if it's as governor? Why would you make as governor?
Sir, which question are you on?
Sir, as governor, why would you make a comment that is seemingly so distasteful?
It is not distasteful. It is something that is concerning the safety of the people at large, concerning the security of the nation. It is not distasteful. It is the most important thing. It may be bitter, but it has to be understood. If you pretend that the danger is not there, the danger doesn't vanish. The danger is there. My question persists, remains. Why were so many people there at the funeral of a mass murderer? A person who has been hanged for mass murder. Why were so many people there?
But sir, the point is there are people, this is a country of 1.2 billion people, people gather all over the place. When there are events that take place, you can't control that. But you're saying that everybody who attended that funeral or participated in some part of the procession, whether if they're not family and not close relatives, they should all be looked at, investigated for terrorism. That's a very serious charge you're making against many citizens of this country who don't believe in terrorism.
Charge, because what you are saying is extremely far-fetched, almost impossible. They don't, as if they don't know who was hanged, whose dead body that is. They know perfectly well that is the dead body of a hanged person, a person who was hanged by an order of the competent court.
Okay.
For having masterminded the murder of 257 people. You
All right.
say they didn't know it? In spite of that, they went there. Why were they there? I mean, there could be some stragglers, could be some bystanders, could be some people who had nothing better to do. But do you mean to say that the entire people consisted of that?
Okay. All right.
That is why surveillance is necessary.
Okay, Mr. Roy, thank you very much for joining us. That's why you're saying surveillance is necessary. Those people had no reason to be at the funeral of a mass murderer who had been hanged by the Indian state after being convicted of an extremely heinous terror act that killed over 250 people in 1993. Now, we will open up our discussion. We're being joined by Sambit Patra of the BJP, Sushmita Dev of the Congress here in studio with us, Kalikesh Narayan Singh Dev of the BJD joining us as well to talk about what's been going on in Parliament as a result, and Vivek Karju, former diplomat, who's joining us to also give us some perspective and as far as the fight against terror is concerned. Sambit, I want to actually open this with you. Your first reactions to the Tripura governor's comments. You must have heard what he said, and then if you could just clarify also what Rajnath Singh meant by saying that the previous government has detracted from investigations on terror by referring to Hindu terror, given that there are these groups, Abhinav Bharat, etc., that actually have operated and are suspected of being behind violent crime.
Number one, as far as the first part of your question is concerned, I do not comment on constitutional officers like the President and the governors of this country. So, it is best for them to talk on the issue. And I was seeing on your channel that Mr. Tathagata Rai of Tripura, the governor of Tripura, himself clarified on the issues. So, I would not comment on them. As far as the pertinent second question is concerned, to this let me come. I mean, as far as Mr. Rajnath Singh, the Home Minister of country, rebuking the Congress today for having used this word, Hindu terror, is concerned, let me remind you that in 2013, on two occasions, so the first part when the Home Minister, Mr. Sushil Kumar Sindhe, on a dais in Jaipur, when Sonia ji was present, when Manmohan Singh ji was present, and when Rahul Gandhi ji was present, in the presence of the top-notch leaders of the Congress, had gone to the extent just not of proclaiming that Hindu terror exists, but he had crossed the Lakshman Rekha to say that BJP and RSS, in fact, in their training camps, train terrorists. You can go back to the archives, you can get the video and you can see for yourself what the then Home Minister had to say. And as rightly pointed out by the Home Minister of the country, Mr. Rajnath Singh, he had received a congratulatory note from none other than the dreaded criminal Hafiz Saeed of Pakistan. And what I have always been saying, it's time and again that the Congress leaders have provided oxygen to Pakistan. I remember as early as when the Pak boat was...
Just a moment, we have D. Raja of the left as well joining us. Mr. Raja, I'm afraid I didn't realize you had joined us on the show. We're just going to come to you in just a second after Sambit finishes this point. Sambit, the point that you're making, yes, Hafiz Saeed may have congratulated P. Chidambaram when he made those comments, but it doesn't detract from the fact that people like Sandeep Dange, Ramchandra Kalsangra, Seema Nand, they're all also wanted for terror activities. I don't think you can.
Let
Why
me
are you
be- let
comparing
me
one
be-
versus
let
the
me
other?
be extremely
If you're
candid and
saying-
open in this.
If you are saying that all terror should be dealt with as equal, then why only take up what Hafiz Saeed is saying and not what these people are saying?
No, not at all. Let me be extremely outright over here. Number one, the Bharatiya Janata Party never for once had used the word Islamic terror or any other kind of terror. It is the Congress school of thought which has always tried to categorize terrorism into religious groups, and that's the reason as to why.
Okay,
After the deadly defeat in 2014, A.K. Antony had to come up with a report,
right.
and
Okay,
A.K.
Sambit
Antony
Patra.
suggested every congressman to go through this
All
report
right,
of
Sambit
A.K.
Patra,
Antony.
thanks. We'll come back to you for more. And Sushmita, I want you to just come in on this very quickly before I open up the debate. The fact is that the Congress has reacted to this comment today, but in a sense what Rajnath Singh did stand up and say is that terrorism has no religion and no caste. He also did make that comment.
See, terrorism has no religion or caste. That is what the Congress has always maintained. The unfortunate part is today the House came together despite the logjam so that the Honorable Home Minister of India could apprise the nation and the members vis-a-vis the incident in Punjab. But what Mr. Rajnath Singh ended up doing is politicizing the issue. He ended up misusing that opportunity and scoring brownie points politically. That's what's unfortunate about his statement. And I think BJP is a party, a government which is consistently indulging in deflecting the real issues before the nation.
Okay.
They are consistently trying to divert the attention of the nation from their failures vis-a-vis national security, economy, everything as far as we are concerned.
All right, okay. Mr. Raja, I want you to come in on this because the left also in an editorial has talked about, after yesterday's hanging, has talked about an equally swift sort of justice for those who have been involved in riots, the Babri Masjid demolition. I'm going to read from this now, saying that the bloodlust displayed by the BJP, Shiv Sena and others with regard to those accused of terrorism is selective. We are seeing how cases involving Hindutva terrorism, Ajmer Sharif, Malegaon and Samjhauta Express blasts are being scuttled with official connivance. Can you explain that editorial?
No, actually, that editorial has been written by the CPM paper, I understand. You are reading from People's Democracy, I understand. However, there are some facts which nobody can deny. There are some facts. And after 1992, what has been happening in our country, one should have some serious introspection why such things are happening in India. Not only after 1992, 2002, what happened in Gujarat, or 1993, what happened in Mumbai, and in other places, what happened. So these are all certain things which every citizen needs to introspect. I myself raised certain questions during certain debates in Parliament when the government was talking about left-wing extremism, left-wing terror. I said it is all right to address the issue of left-wing terror. What about the right-wing terror, right-wing extremism? After all, left-wing extremism questions the state challenges the state apparatus, state machinery. But right-wing extremists, they challenge the very idea of nationhood, India as a nation, and they think India is not a democratic republic, it should become a theocratic country. So we should understand there are, whether we like it or not, there are problems with the right-wing extremists, and they create communal strife in the country, and they lead to communal conflicts where you witness riots, hundreds of people are being killed, and who are the people? And Justice Sri Krishna Commission report about the 1993 Mumbai riots, and what is the action that government took, and 2002 now many things are happening. So let us be honest and straightforward, and there are right-wing extremists in our country.
All right, Mr. Raja.
And in the name of religion,
there are right-wing extremists.
polarize people.
There are people who are committing acts of violence in the name of religion, in the name of ideology, political ideology or statehood or whatever. You have Kalikesh Singh there. I want you to come in on this because, you know, we've heard from the BJP and the Congress their reactions, but I want you to comment on the idea that terror activities taking place across the country, including in a state like Orissa, have no religion, no fundamentalist religious belief, but certainly an ideological belief that's responsible for several deaths. How are these comments being politicized and why at this time?
Well, we have the Maoist activities, if you could call that terrorism, then that's got no religious twinge. But what's a fact is that the terrorist activities around, let's say, Kashmir or to use the word loosely, Islamic terror or Hindu terror, I think these definitely have a religious motivation and you can't deny it. And that's not to say that we are painting the entire religion as terrorists, whether it's Islamists or Hindus. But you know, more to the point, I think the problem in today's reply with Mr. Rajnath Singh was that I think he overstepped the mark in my personal opinion. I mean, he as a Home Minister needs to depoliticize these issues and not score brownie points. I think that's the first thing he needs to do. And to go out of his brief, his written speech, because I have a copy of his written speech, and that didn't contain the remarks that he later came up with about Hindu terror and blaming the Congress, etc. And the Congress wasn't really pushing the buttons with him anyways. So I think he did a disservice to himself and to the issue of Gurdaspur, which had happened very recently. I think that's something which maybe with a little more experience he'll learn to handle in a better way. But having said all of that, I think world over we are attributing terrorism activities to religious with religious connotations. So I think it's there in India. We have to address it. We have to recognize it.
Okay.
We have to accept it, and we have to deal with it.
All right. Okay, we have to accept it, we have to deal with it. Vivek Karchu, the question is, we have to accept it if it comes in all shapes and sizes and all religions. It can't be selective acceptance by the state machinery, by the Home Minister.
Look, I think the use of the term saffron terrorism or Hindu terrorism was absolutely objectionable when it was made. Governments have no business to use these kind of terms, and I cannot recollect a single instance when in any government a statement was made regarding Islamic terrorism or Christian terrorism. So therefore the question is, why should a Home Minister of India at any stage, whether it was Congress, and it was a Congress Home Minister who used these words, these terms, and it was wrong. In my own view, the terminology used should be ascribed to an organization. So and so, say, Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists, Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, those are organizations, and if terrorists belong to those organizations, and if those organizations sponsor terrorism, then ascribing terrorism to those organizations is fine. So as a country, we should have a policy where in the press, and especially in the government, no religion, no adjective relating to a religion is used as a prefix to terrorism. That would be, to my mind, the right way to continue.
Mr. Karchu, if I may just ask you that,
Please.
sort of go into that a little deeper, because you know what Kalikesh Singh there was also saying, that the world over there is this discourse, whether governments use the term, don't use the term, the idea of Islamic fundamentalism, Islamic terror is something that, you know, rolls off our tongues very easily. As far as these groups that are concerned, that you're talking about, you know, whether it's Jaish or Lashkar, and identify those groups. But the same thing also has been done with groups like Abhinav Bharat, the ones who are responsible for the Malegaon blast, the Ajmer blast. They are groups that have a particular denomination. How do you walk away from that reality?
No, I'm not walking away from any reality. All that I'm saying is that if newspapers, media, academics use a term loosely, it's one thing. But if governments start using a term Hindu terrorism or saffron terrorism, then it assumes a totally different dimension. And that is what to my mind is objectionable. I in fact feel that even the media has to be extremely careful in the use of these terms.
All right,
as far as Abhinav Bharat etc. are concerned, let me complete. As far as Abhinav Bharat etc. are concerned, as of now, I do not think that there has been any court judgment, mind you I am using the word judgment, which attributes any terrorist as belonging to these organizations. Yes, arrests may have been made, investigations may be in progress, charge sheets may have been submitted, but there's been no conviction yet. So therefore it would be wrong to use these terms. Whereas the Lashkar-e-Toiba is a self-proclaimed terrorist organization.